Okay, guys, the Idaho murders affidavit has been released. I'm going to read some things that I thought were interesting that stood out to me. First thing, as law enforcement walked through the house, they got into the bedroom with Kaylee and Maddie, and they found what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Maddie's right side. The sheath was later processed and had KA-bar, so KA bar USMC, and the United States Supreme Court Eagle logo on it. The Idaho State Lab later located a single source of male DNA, which is the suspect profile, left on the bottom snap of the knife sheath. That alone is insane. We keep talking about this weapon or what the evidence was, and crazy that they found that right away and probably had his DNA within the first few days. It just then goes into their steps that they took throughout the night. They're at the Sigma Chi house and they were at the corner club, those types of facts. This next part is something that I didn't know, and apologies if this is out there. There's so much stuff, it's hard to keep up. But it says Xana actually got a DoorDash order delivery at 4 a.m., which I don't remember hearing that information. I feel like that pushes the timeline back from what we were originally told. But again, apologies if that's not news. Like I said, it's hard to keep up with. So they're calling one of the surviving roommates DM. So they said DM stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom. She was woken up at about 4 a.m. It sounded like Kaylee playing with her dog in upstairs bedrooms. She did think she heard Kaylee say something like, "Is there someone here?" But they're not sure. It could have been Xana saying that because based off of Xana's cell phone records, she was on TikTok at around 4:12 a.m., so she was definitely up. So again, DM, one of the surviving roommates, looked out of her bedroom, but didn't see anything when she heard that comment about someone being there. She did open her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying from Kernodle's room, Kernodle's Xana. And then she heard a man's voice say something like, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." This is all very eerie to read, honestly. I have chills. So at 4:17 a.m., there's a security camera at a residence nearby. They picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices of a whimper, a loud thud, a dog barking, which I think saw that video going around on TikTok. I didn't know if it was real or not, but I guess it is. So that's creepy and awful. DM opened her door for the third time after she heard the crying, and she saw a figure in black clothing and a mask that covered in the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. And I'll do a part 2.
I bet he gave a statement because he doesn't have an attorney. His current attorney is just representing him for extradition. Didn't ask him about the case. All they have to show for extradition is that he's the guy on the warrant and he was in the area at the time. His attorneys told him that they probably used geofencing to show that he's in the area at the time of the crime. That, coupled with a court order for them to stop cleaning the house. Getting someone to waive their Miranda rights is an art. The FBI interrogators are some of the best in the world. They teach interrogation. As an interrogator, you can talk to your suspect as long as you want, as long as you're not questioning them about the crime. There will be word selection and body cues that you can read on your suspect to show that you're building rapport. And that's when you get them to waive their Miranda rights. How did he get caught? When they increased the number of FBI agents, I figured they got a hit on the DNA. News outlets have reported they used genealogy. I take that to mean somewhere in a database, a relative of his submitted a sample for DNA. A major news outlet said a law enforcement source told them they used geofencing. That's when his phone pings back to the same location as the victims, and that he was following them around. They had information on the vehicle, and it's going to have a ton of evidence in it, and that's why it was confiscated. I talk about the use of genealogy with the Golden State Killer on my podcast. You can find it on YouTube under Pure Power 34. Do I think his parents knew? Probably not. The attorney said his dad flew out there and drove him back. If they knew that he was a heroin addict, he could have just called and said he fell off the wagon. If his folks did know, could they be arrested for harboring? Parents and spouses are exempt in my state. The FBI followed him for 4 days. That's how long it took them to get their ducks in a row enough for an arrest warrant. You get one shot. With this high-profile case, you've got to get it right. The Moscow police chief was recently interviewed and said that he stood by his statement that this was a directed attack, and that he's confident they have their guy. My theory is that he was stalking Kaylee. One of the bar owners in the area that knew the suspect said he was a weirdo, and that he had to tell him to leave some women alone. So much so that when he scans his license at the bar, there's a note saying he could be a problem. Criminology is more about criminal behavior, not about police work. I don't think he was smart enough to lawyer up. I think he was caught by surprise. And getting interrogated at 4 a.m., you probably don't have all your wits about you. Me just sitting here thinking of all the evidence they have to have, I'm betting the death penalty is still on the table. Because a big name lawyer has not stepped up saying that he's representing this guy. And someone would love the free press if they thought they could win. Once again, I could be wrong. The Idaho suspect was under surveillance. They reported they watched him clean his car from top to bottom, using gloves and detailing it. Then around 4 in the morning, he takes that garbage bag and puts it in the neighbor's bin. Once again, you don't need a search warrant for trash. Although I think it is his first time doing this, Pennsylvania's going through all their cold cases, because now they have a name and DNA. I would think they're looking at their stabbing cases, because usually killers don't change their MO.
Oh my god. Take pictures. Stop touching. Oh my god. Guys, I can find this. What the? Oh.
Can you confirm or deny that a window was broken in order to gain access into the home?
There were multiple windows.
Call you and I, we had our lows and highs. Feel so much better now when you're not around. Dancing more than I have before, and my body's not touching yours. No, I won't feel colder, cause I'm never sober. Living it out, feeling too high. I do it all, I don't think about you at all. Cause tonight I feel so alive, so don't give me a call. You and I.
This past Wednesday, this Utah man fatally shot his family of 7 and then turned the gun on himself. Michael Haight, his wife, his 5 children, and his mother-in-law were all living in their home in a small town in Utah. It was about 180 miles from Las Vegas. Tasha filed a divorce petition in late December, and then her mother moved into the home with them to provide support. The children were identified by their ages and genders: 17-year-old female, 12-year-old female, 7-year-old female, 7-year-old male, and 4-year-old male. What's weird about this is that Tuesday night, Tasha and her daughter went to an event that was going on at their church, and then the next morning she had a scheduled appointment to meet with some unidentified person. We don't know what the appointment was for. We don't know who this person was. However, when Tasha did not show up to this appointment, that person immediately called in for a welfare check, which is strange to me. That tells me that this person knew something and was extremely scared for her after she just did not show up that morning. A missing person report was filed with Cedar City, and then when they learned that they lived in a different town, they went ahead and just moved it over to the local police department, which then turned into a search for the entire family. The police department went up to their home and decided to go in, and that's whenever they walked in on a very gruesome scene. Online, they're saying that the family is a very religious Mormon family, and unfortunately, I think this was a situation of, if you're leaving me, I'm gonna kill you all so we can all be together in heaven. It's truly horrifying. No one in this family had criminal backgrounds. However, the police did have interactions with them in the past. They would not say what for, but there was some sort of investigation going on a few years ago. I'm going to assume that it was probably something that had to do with domestic violence.